Welcome everyone to another video on product management. In this video, we're going to talk about how will you improve LinkedIn Messenger. I will be interviewing another candidate who is experienced product manager in one of the bank companies. So let's see how it goes.
I'll do LinkedIn Messenger. How to improve LinkedIn Messenger.
Got it. Okay. Go for it.
Okay. If we're talking about LinkedIn, the professional social network platform that uses to broaden their connections and, uh, you know, keep up with their network and apply to jobs, market their products, find new leads, depending on what their roles are in a business setting. There's a wide range of different use cases where how people could use LinkedIn, and we're assuming that the scope of this question is covering all of them, all of the above, including the B2B segment and the B2C segments. And then I'm also going to assume that we're talking about the current day of the product. Um, what else is there? I'm going to assume that as an interviewer, you don't really have, or I can give my own insight on what I think should be the goal of the improvement. And then maybe I'll make my own assumptions and then I'll check in with you before we dive into more details.
Sounds good.
Um, okay, cool. So, how I would like to approach this is I'll first go through kind of overall products of the LinkedIn Messenger and kind of the strategic overview of it. And then I'll talk through the different users and stakeholders that make use of the Messenger product. And then I'll talk through potential pain points
Here, the
and then
interviewee is sharing the
solutions.
screen. If you would like to share a screen or
Share
share
the
a
screen.
doc, totally fine. It's always better to align with your
Okay, I can
interviewer.
start
So
off.
here it goes.
So, LinkedIn's overall mission is to connect the world's professionals and make them more successful and productive. And so, to me, the Messenger product is very much in support of that. So LinkedIn, like we talked about, is the world's largest professional network. There are different ways how people interact with it, including connecting or building their social network in a professional setting, applying to jobs, achieving their business goals in terms of marketing, sales, and others. Um, there are some competitors out there, both in terms of like LinkedIn platform as a platform and also as a messenger product. So the top ones that come to mind in terms of messaging is Facebook and WhatsApp. A lot of people will use these platforms as the kind of the go-to like messaging app, whether it's one-on-one or a group group chat. Um, and then when you think about using LinkedIn as like a almost like a forum or a news source of news, you have Reddit, Glassdoor, and maybe even like Line, Fishbowl that are kind of the operating in the same realm of basically gathering a bunch of people who have similar interest and who may be interested in discussing topics in a very specialized setting. So all that's to say, LinkedIn is I think the biggest competitive advantage is that LinkedIn is known as the one-stop shop for everything that's career growth and professional world related. Um, and that's kind of the reputation that's developed and how it's built its product profile, a portfolio around it. Um, and the other thing I want to point out is LinkedIn and LinkedIn Messenger really benefit from having, for majority of the time, real and verified profiles. Like if you're reaching out to someone on LinkedIn, um, you are pretty much confident that there's a real person behind it, and they are who they say they are, including like where they work and where they went to school, things like that. However, I put an asterisk because not everyone is verified, and I've definitely seen people who have information from there. But I would say, in general, the overall perception is that LinkedIn is more trustworthy, and the profile and people there are more legitimate compared to, like, say, Facebook or Reddit and other anonymous forums, even. Okay. So now I want to talk through, just in general, who are the stakeholders that use LinkedIn, and particularly in the Messenger product. So I talked about the B2B segment and B2C segment. So for B2C, it's like people like you and I who just reach out to like regular users. Could be regular users, unpaid or paid premium users, who are just looking to make connections, and maybe just keeping up, saying congratulations when your friend had a promotion, or applying to jobs, and reaching out to the hiring managers. Um, and then for on the B2B side, I see a lot of functional use cases where you have marketers reaching out to, say, like the CTO or a PM of a company and selling their own product suites. And then you also have like salespeople. Sorry, yeah, sales and marketers are kind of similar in that sense. Then you also have like recruiters, so HR reaching out to potential candidates like yourself, trying to poach them. And then you have just general advertisers, so businesses putting out their ads, and without any like specialized targets, just trying to gain exposure about their company or their products and services. So um, that's kind of a breakdown of the different stakeholders and user groups that use LinkedIn Messenger in terms of the use cases. Um, I think at this point, it probably makes sense to hone in a little bit on the area of improvement, because there's endless possibilities when I think through each one of these stakeholders. So I feel like for LinkedIn Messenger, um, sorry, let me think about this for a second, or let me know if you have any questions so far.
I have one question. So basically, if there's a consumer or there's an end user talking to another end user via the messenger, will that be part of B2C?
Like if I message you,
Yeah,
that's B2C.
that's B2C. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, sounds good.
Um, so I think I want to talk about, maybe hone in on a use case. So why do people use LinkedIn Messenger? We talk about people wanting to build connections, people wanting to apply to jobs, and then you have business users who are trying to grow their business, or reach out to potential candidates. Um, I feel like the business use cases, a lot of it is taken care of. I probably need to see data on this, but I don't personally use it for business purposes. So I don't really see any particular pain points. But as a regular user, I do see some potential pain points when it comes to applying for jobs. So I think the degree of need is definitely there. Um,
Sorry,
finding.
which segment you are picking up?
So I'm not necessarily picking a segment, but more so like I'm going down a use case.
Hmm.
So it could be any person, um, or a recruiter even looking
Hmm.
to match with the right candidate. Because I think there could be some potential opportunity we could do to help candidates find the right job through Messenger, or find the right person who can help them get that right job. And then at the same time, recruiters reaching out to the right candidates who are equally interested. and are looking for jobs.
So don't you think it's going to increase the scope? Like, as in, if you're not picking up particular segment, like you are talking about the recruiter side, so recruiter can contact the user directly for the job, and user can also contact the recruiter themselves. So there will be different pain points for these two users. I'm just giving an example, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I think I would agree with that. Let's go with end users. So I feel like HR, they're first of all they're paid users, so there's a lot of premium features that are open to them that you and I don't see as candidates. And when we if we for regular users, if we're not paying for a premium account, then there is a very limited. You can only do a certain number of searches for a month, I think, and then there's only a certain number of messages you can send out. Um, so I feel like yeah, there's probably greater opportunity there.
Okay.
So yeah, let's go with that. Candidates finding jobs. Let me take a moment to think through pain points. Um, I'm not going to try to discover. Well, I'll think through the user journey, but maybe I'll try to think of more specific examples tailored to use of Messenger in particular. So yeah, I'll take a quick minute. For top of mind, the first one is there's a limited number of messages, and I guess this only applies to free users. If you're not a premium user, I think there's only like 3 or 5 emails you can send. Um, but then if you're sending just a quick note to someone when you're adding them, then there's a limit of how many characters. So that's very limiting, and really hard to, as a candidate, it's hard for us to express everything you want to say in one message, or like um, having enough opportunities to talk to people. And then the second one is there's a right now you can only send text and photos. I think it could benefit from being able to send richer mediums like audio or video. Um, so I feel like there's a lot of opportunities that can open up as a candidate if you can shoot like a quick like an elevator pitch about yourself directly to a hiring manager, just as an example. Not saying that's something that we pursue, but I feel like that could be interesting. And then fourth one is when you're reaching out to LinkedIn um, hiring managers or recruiters, um, not only do you have a limited number of messages you can send out, you don't know who you're betting on. Like you don't know if people are gonna respond to you. So that is very limiting and concerning. Um, I know part of it is because they're trying to encourage people to become premium users, but I think even for everyday users, it could be very disheartening if you're putting all your effort into like writing a really nice long message to someone and they just don't respond. Um, and then the fourth one is right now you can only access LinkedIn messages through LinkedIn app or going on the website itself. So you could very easily miss notifications when someone responds to you, or it could easily be buried amongst all the other notifications that LinkedIn is automated to send. Pause there for any questions from you.
No. So basically, which problem would you like to focus on?
Yeah, so I think I'd like to focus, or how I typically want to prioritize is based on the severity, so how painful it is, um, and frequency. So I think the one that really jumps out at me is definitely the not getting responses part. Um, because as a job seeker, there's a lot of different ways you can gain insights through messages, but if people just don't respond to you, there's no way for you to even get that conversation started. Like not only do you reach out to people who are hiring, but you also want to reach out to like a friend of a friend who can potentially help you prep or do a mock interview. So if you don't know if they're gonna reach out back, or if you don't know if they're gonna respond, then that's a waste of your message, and it's a waste of effort. and it kind of limits your ability to be successful and be productive in your job search. So I think this is definitely the right problem to solve, relatively speaking.
Got it. So based
Um,
upon the severity and frequency, that's what you mean.
yeah,
Okay.
I think in terms of just like focusing on job seekers, I think it happens to every job seeker, and it happens really frequently, especially now, given the job market is pretty stale. And it's a pretty severe problem because it could be a big hurdle between you and the next dream job that you have. Um, so
What about the limited message that you can send? That is also something that mostly all the people will face, right? Female users, I
yeah,
mean.
that's a great point. It's definitely a frequent problem for free users, but there's a solution, which is you can just pay for the
Hmm.
premium account. But like not getting responses is a very human aspect to it.
Hmm.
Like if you're reaching out to an HR person that they're just overwhelmed and they can't respond. It doesn't matter if you're free user or premium user, you're just not going to hear back.
Right. Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Three possible solutions. First one is a profile tag. So much like the open to work and the open to hire tag, you as a regular user can see once you click into someone's profile whether they're open to chat. And it could be like open to chat, and then if they are, then they can state like certain topics of what they're open to chatting about. Um, because I find that sometimes like it's kind of a hit or miss. Like some people are just really open to chatting, while others are not. So you really want to focus your time and energy on people who are willing to give you time of day. And then second one is the AI assistant. The idea is that so two things it will do. One is it can help you. It's kind of like a built-in ChatGPT that helps you generate message that will increase response rate from the receiver. And then also, if possible, it can estimate the response rate and say this person is 80% more likely to respond to your message than others, something like that. And then the third one is a gamification feature where um, you can earn profile badges for being like a really helpful member on LinkedIn, or this person has responded to like over 200 queries on through LinkedIn message. Um, that way, it's kind of like the upvote feature, or like those Reddit Gold feature, where it's arbitrary way to incentivize people to respond and participate, but it kind of works even though there's no monetary incentive. Um, so yeah, those are the three solutions. Let me know if you have any questions before prioritize.
Yeah, can you tell me a little bit more about the AI assistant? So is it like a bot that will respond to your questions or something else?
So the way I'm imagining it is it would be built directly. Okay, so two ways to build it. One is it's a chatbot. So it's a chatbot that you can message on LinkedIn that helps you draft messages. Like you can tell them, I want to message hiring manager at DocuSign for this team. This is what I'm applying for. This is my qualification. Help me draft a message that can help me get response. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is like just have let's say you're the hiring manager and I'm trying to message you. The AI chatbot can automatically recommend. It can read my message that I've drafted and make recommendations on like how to change it or like how to optimize it.
Got it. But okay, I understood. So basically, the AI will be responsible to change and reform and modify my messages, but the response will be done by the end user, right? So
Yeah,
it will be
it's so human.
it will optimize the message. That's the only thing it will do. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, makes sense. Okay, go for it.
Yeah, I do see a downside, which is if everybody is all of a sudden really good at writing eloquently, then like we're back to square one. Like we're gonna be back to
Yeah,
low response
the
rates.
downside between the option one, two, three, all of them is like, even if you do gamification, even if you do AI assistant or profile tagging, there can be possibility where the end user or the person who is trying to respond is not responding still, right? Um,
Yeah, this one for sure. So this one is user generated. So like if I'm open to talking to people, then I can put that badge up myself. And if I'm not, for whatever reason, I'll take it off. So that should be impactful relatively compared to the second one. This one is more so like, yeah, this one is probably less impactful. I'll probably just eliminate it altogether. The third one is it's a incentive for people to respond more. So like incentive for everyone to be more engaged on LinkedIn platform in general and just spend more time uh, responding to messages. Um, but yeah, so I know we touched on impact a little bit, so we can just go into prioritization. So impact and effort, right? So I think we already agreed. Second one is not the most impactful. So I feel like profile tag is very impactful if implemented and people use it properly. And then the gamification, I feel like it's medium to high. Um, I feel like the incentive is still arbitrary. Um, it could work for some people, but not everyone. And then effort wise, I feel like profile tag is fairly simple uplift in terms of both like the UI design and then engineering. It's just about putting a set of like attributes and like the key topics that you want to talk about on your profile and some minor UI changes. So that I think it's relatively easy in terms of efforts, or medium. It's really easy to medium. And then gamification, I think this is definitely harder to implement because it requires a redesign in like how you track. It's an entirely new feature that you need to think about, like what to track, how to track, and then there's a lot of UI changes, and you probably want to think about like um, different kinds of profile badges in addition to just like this person's responded to this number of queries. And it's probably like there's a whole slew of things you can give people badges for, like being an expert in a certain field, for example. So that's something that would be much longer term and cross team if I were to pursue it.
Got it. Okay.
So yeah, in summary, um, I think the profile tag should be pretty impactful and relatively easy to test out if it's going to be um, yeah, getting more response rates for response rates and engagement for users who are using LinkedIn Message to try to get attention from hiring managers or just general people that want to network with. In terms of helping people achieve the end goal of getting a job, I think that's going to be harder to measure because getting a job, it's a long term, or not a long term, but like it definitely takes months to see a result. So it would be difficult to measure that. But I think the immediate hypothesis is that I think if people are generally getting more responses in their LinkedIn messaging, then that should indirectly help them reach their career goals and get the job that they want downstream. Um, so my immediate measure of success is probably just, am I getting higher response rates for profiles that have this open to chat tag?
Got it.
Yeah, that's it.
What will be your success metric looks like?
So the first one would be response rate. I would want to measure, well, I would want to track like adoption and engagement. So adoption in terms of like how many people are actually using this profile tag, like how many people are putting this profile tag on their profile, and then like how many, maybe track the number of topics that they're putting on, um, and then also engagement as a measure of, are people is there a higher response rate for people with profile tag compared to people with no profile tag? And then also response, or also, I guess, like number of messages initiated to these people that have the tag versus to people that don't have tags.
Hmm.
In the measured by like number of messages and I guess yeah overall like percentage of messages. Um, and then more downstream, like maybe proxy metric would be like back and forth conversations. Like a meaningful conversation would be like more than three back and forth. I would say I think that's something that we can work out the number on with DS. Um, and yeah, those will be the top ones. And then some of the, I guess, counter metrics is I would want to make sure that people who don't use this feature are still using the chat in general. So I want to measure like the number of messages sent and received by profiles that don't have tags are not declining significantly. Um, and what else is there? Um, and kind of like adjacently, like I want to make sure that overall quality and safety of messages, LinkedIn messages, is not decreasing. Like, I'm sure we're measuring that already, but like, there should be no abusing or any like foul words being used on messages, and that should not change, even with this new feature. Yeah, that's
Sounds
it.
sounds good. Cool. Thank you. Um, any self-reflection or feedback from your side? What do you think?
Feel I don't know. I feel okay. I I think I'm okay with the strategic overview. I may have maybe I could have narrowed down the scope a little earlier. That would have been easier to define pain points, but then I didn't want to narrow myself too early, too fast, and be restrictive. Um, I feel like the pain point, or I feel like the use case that I chose of job seekers, um, I don't know how I feel about that because I also use the same train of thought for a different question prompt.
Hmm.
So I feel like I'm just defaulting towards it. Maybe I just need to think more about other use cases and be more open to other potential pain points and solutions. Um, I'm okay with the solutions, I think. And I'm okay with the going from the pain points to solutions and where we ended up.
Right. Yeah, I think from my point of view, you had a structure. I like your introduction that you spend most of the time there. Okay, so overall, you spend around 24 minutes. Sorry, 30 to 33 minutes overall. Like we started at 3 p.m. We ended around 3:30 to 33. So from time wise, I think you did a good job. Structure, you had a structure. I like your introduction. You spend a lot of time. Even I learned from it, like how you talk about like competitors, what is a value prop, USP. You should spend like 2 3 minutes in the introduction, which is good. um, then you had the stakeholders pain point solution. So after pain points, I like everything. The feedback from my side is regarding your segmentation for users. I got confused into B2B, B2C. I got your point. Like B2C means like end consumers, but from B2C perspective, if you think from the company point of
Oh
view,
yeah,
it's
yeah, I
like
get what
it's like a business is doing something to the consumers and business is doing something to
yeah,
the business. I think
yeah,
just change the word to like enterprise
yeah,
versus consumers, right?
yeah,
Um, that's one. Um, Other you can also do like other prioritization criteria. Like usually what I do is like I do different prioritization criteria and then I pick one prioritization based upon what makes sense. So other way you can do it is like paid, like premium versus like freemium. Those kind of also slice and dice you can do, and you can pick one versus another one. Okay, so Another thing is like you did not give the prioritization criteria for users. You just pick the regular user and them finding the job. Like for example, for other pain points, you mentioned severity and frequency. For solution, you mentioned impact and engineering effort. But for stakeholders, I did not hear a lot of things about like why did you pick that. We can go with business users. I did not. I was not convinced why we are going over there.
You're sorry, you're not convinced that I didn't pick business users?
I I was not convinced what is the rationale behind picking up regular user versus business
Oh,
user.
okay.
Um, so maybe spending more time over there because this like deciding stakeholders, pain points, and solution, we have to be clear with the prioritization criteria and check with the interviewer. Like, are you convinced? Are you fine? Do you have any questions? Each at each
Mm,
endpoint. Pain points can be enhanced a little bit more, like from the end user point of view. You talk about like uh, they have limited number of messaging, like they can only text, photos, and all. They're not getting messages. Basically, they're also concerned about security, like about like their accounts getting hacked, takeover, and stuff like that. Um,
okay.
yeah, like something which is bare minimum, but it's good to cover as well. What you pick up which you think is fine. I like the pain point which is like not getting responses. Solutions, I think the profile tagging is a basic solution. If you are interviewing with LinkedIn, it's fine, but if you are doing for Google, I heard it should be a moonshot solution, something like that.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's that innovative. I was also brainstorming few solutions when you were thinking. I was thinking like, okay, why do people do not respond? Like if I'm messaging an HR, if I'm messaging a business company, I want a job, right? Why do people do not respond? Is maybe they are busy. They get a lot of like flood of messages, right? So why not we develop AI? So you came up with the AI assistant, but AI assistant will be helpful to cater your messages, to tailor your message, to reform your message. But why not develop a AI assistant which will be the virtual avatar of the end user itself?
Respond. Okay.
Yeah. So basically, we will train. So if I'm the HR, I will train my virtual avatar, and now I don't have to be present in the computer, right? My virtual avatar can go anywhere and can respond to a number of messages. That's one solution. Second solution I was thinking was peer messaging. Peer messaging is something I'm busy. You texted me. I work for DocuSign. I'm HR. You are asking me question about, hey, I have this job ID. This is my resume. Can you help me to refer in this particular position? If I'm not able to respond, just send that message to my peer, who is my manager or can be my peer, and they will be able to respond because both work in the same team, and you are asking a generic message. Anyone will be able to help, right? So that can be another solution. I'm just making there will be some risk and all privacy concerns. You can talk about the risk. Um,
An interesting one.
yeah, you did
Or
not.
it could even be like it could even be a group thing, like group at all DocuSign PMs, but which like also doesn't exist.
Yeah, a group message which doesn't exist also.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah.
Cool.
So those are few things which I don't think of. Yeah. Overall, good answer. Yeah.